a lot of people forget or don't realize that this is a spiritual battle that we're all in. And when you start to understand that battle, then you're more equipped to fight. And of course, we can't do that with our own strength. We need God to help us. And that's when the power of prayer helps us with that battle that we're in. And of course the demons don't want you praying for anyone, because they know how important prayer is. They know how important forgiveness is. They also know how important it is to love. And God says in his word that love covers a multitude of sins. And so the demons know this. See, the demons send in the narcissist to destroy you and to stomp out your light. But they don't want it to work in reverse, to where you are taking that darkness out by loving them. That's why the demons need to keep hold of their heart, so that there's a barrier around it so nobody can break through with it. That's why you're like, wow, I gave that narcissist all this love, and all I did was give him everything I had, and I just could not break through that barrier that's covering the heart, because the demons cannot allow that narcissist to feel that love, because then it will start unraveling all their doings. And they cannot have that narcissist start to forgive people that have wronged them. They cannot have them to stop being prideful, and they cannot stop them. They don't want them to start confessing their wrongdoing. See, they have to keep that locked up. And so, have you ever noticed, though, with narcissists, I'm not going to say this with all narcissists, because I feel like narcissists carry different weights and different traits. And I also believe that there's different spectrums of narcissism. And I feel like some narcissists are worse than other narcissists. And I believe it's because they have opened themselves up to darkness, and it's weighed down on their spirit and heart, making them worse, where the other narcissists didn't allow as much into their spirit, into their soul, into their heart. And so that's why I feel like there's a little bit of difference there, and difference of spectrums. But have you ever noticed, though, with a lot of narcissists that you would expect would hug you, they don't like hugging? Have you noticed that? They do not like to be hugged. Now, don't get me wrong, they'll hug you if that's part of their acting performance to deceive you. Of course, they're going to fake that hug, because they know they have to. That's part of reeling you in and making you believe that they're into you. But I noticed that a lot of narcissists don't like to hug when the time is appropriate, when that relationship is appropriate to hug. You can just tell they don't like to hug. My adoptive mother, who's a narcissist, and she's like a high spectrum narcissist. Even as a child, I always knew that she did not want me to hug her. And when I would cry to her because I felt like they didn't accept me, she would hold me, and but it's almost like I could feel like she still didn't love me. It was almost like, okay, I guess this is the moment I have to touch this child and pretend that I want her. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, come here, baby. You know I love you. Come here. Let me give you a hug. It was more like, oh, okay. Yeah, see, we wanted you. That's why we adopted you. You were chosen. You were chosen. And I even with her doing that, kids are very smart. They know who loves them, who doesn't, who tolerates them, or whatever. But I could just tell that she she wasn't feeling that. It was just a something she was. It was just something expected from her in that moment. My adopted mom's mother, who was my grandmother through the adoption, she was just like that. Like when we would go to her house, you couldn't be yourself around her. You could not. Everything was micromanaged. Everything had to be super proper. You had to watch every little thing you said. Like you couldn't. It was like having to wear a suit all day long, and you never could. You never knew how to move because you didn't know if it was going to be scrutinized, or if you were, you know what I mean, you were going to be in trouble for it. So it was not a very fun place to be at. And her mother didn't like hugging. Like you could just tell. Like there's just this barrier. You just know that. And like I said, you couldn't be yourself. You couldn't be a kid. She wasn't like that milk and cookies grandmother. She was very strict and very snappy. She was my grandmother, who was my adopted mother's mother. She was very snappy. So you had to be careful with your words. And my adopted mother is also very snappy. Like if you would say, "Mom, what?" That was like her. That was like her response. She was always very agitated over nothing. Just every little thing is what? Oh, just go do it. She just had that snappiness where you didn't even want to talk to her. Everyone was on pins and needles because of her, way. At least she was more that way if you accepted her behaviors. Like she wouldn't do that if you knew if you were going to snap back. Then she wouldn't. But if you were like an empath, if you were a very sweet person and you weren't like a fighter back in that way, then she'd be more inclined to do that. And a lot of people may dispute that this is not a generational thing in terms of spirits, but I totally believe that families are assigned demons, and that those demons' job is to make the generation pattern doing the same exact things. That's why you'll see the drunk father have the alcoholic kids, and then those kids that they have alcoholic problems or substance abuse. They keep the same pattern. And I see it with my adoptive mom. Her mom had the same characteristics of my adopted mom. She always liked to splinter people's relationships. That's another thing, like to splinter siblings and kids, put them, and just not make them close, and because she wants all the attention to go to her. And she never facilitated relationships with people. My adopted mother and her mom enjoyed having everyone fractured. But yet all those fractured pieces of people would always come back to them. And my sister, who is my adopted mom's real daughter, she does the same thing. She fractures and splinters relationships because she wants that attention. And she doesn't realize it, or I don't know if she realizes it, but she does that. And they do very minimal stuff to try to get people talking with each other. Like it would break my heart if my kids didn't get along with each other, and I would do everything in my power to be like, okay, you guys are siblings. You're supposed to love each other, have each other's back. You're not going to be on the outs with each other. There's nothing should be bigger that outweighs your relationship with each other. See, I would be on them like that. But my family's not like that. They like everyone being separate. And it's just sick. That family is really some sick people. Y'all would be amazed how I survived it. But anyway, but my point to saying all that is that those demons cannot have you entering in any of their hearts. And that's why the narcissist never stays. That's why after those demons have that narcissist finish with you, that's why they're off to the next, because they need the narcissist for the other people. That's why they never stay put. That's why they're always restless, because the demon needs, after they finish crashing your world and ruining your life, then they take that narcissist to another person or to another family or whatever and crash and ruin all their life. That's why they're always moving all the time. They're never settled. They're never, and if a narcissist does stay married to someone, they're living a double life, and making that whole household just a very difficult household. But I'm telling you, they're using them, and the demons are using these narcissists in this way. And because the narcissist refuses to do anything about it and question their behavior, that's why they just keep going and repeating it, and that's why the cycle keeps going, and they're on a little hamster wheel, and it just keeps going round and round, and they're running thinking they're going somewhere, and they're really staying in that one spot. And it's because they never jump off that wheel. And the demons, that's exactly where the demons want them, on that little hamster wheel. And then running really fast. I'm going somewhere. Look at y'all. Ha, 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 ha. I deceived you. But yet they're still going. They're not going anywhere, but they think they did something to you. But when they're the ones that's really stuck. They're the ones that are really in that cycle, that they can't come out of it. So you may think that we're the victims of them. In some ways we are, but really, I don't want to say the joke's on them, but they're going to find it's them that are the ones that are the ones that are ruined. And that's another thing that the demons do. After the demons are done with the narcissist, they discard them. They ruin their lives, have them off themselves, or have them just go in that spiral until they're gone, and then it's off to the next. And that, I'm telling you guys, it's a spiritual battle. And I've seen a lot of spiritual things. I'm not gonna share that on this video because I don't want to get too long, but I'm telling you, these narcissists are really some sad folks. I wanted to end this video by giving one more quick example about how the demons keep trying to block love from the narcissist and the toxic person. And I wanted to bring up my sister again, and to kind of use her as another example as to what they are doing. Now, some of you may remember me speaking about her being the natural daughter of my adoptive parents, and out of everyone, she treated me the best. She was the best of the worst. Even though she was very bossy and controlling towards me, very impatient with me, she treated me like an imbecile, and wasn't always the kindest to me. But at the same time, she did show me some compassion, and she did offer companionship for me when I was lonely. So I do want to give her credit for that. And I wanted to tell her how grateful I was to her. And I was telling her how much I loved her, how grateful I am to her, and that she's my sister. I was saying stuff like that. And she told me she didn't want to hear it. She said, I don't want to hear that. Just go. She was shooing me off, and she didn't want to hear me tell her that I loved her. And I'm telling you, it was those demons rising up through her, trying to block that. The demons didn't want any of my words to penetrate through that barrier and go to her heart. And that's why she responded the way that she did, because she has a lot of brokenness inside of her, and those demons wanted to make sure she stayed in pieces. And I pray for my sister all the time, but because she wants to be where she's at, there's nothing I can do except pray for her, and hopefully she will one day come out of where she is. But this is just another example of what these demons are doing to these people. But they have to be the ones to get up and do something about it.